Okay, welcome everyone. We're gonna finish this Starfish thing and ink it. So what I did now is scale it up to a size that I feel reasonable for inking. This is gotta be a pretty small monster, so it's not gonna need too much detail. I scaled it in comparison with the octopus that was here, so it's a little smaller than that. Obviously, it will all be dictated by the thickness of the lines, but this is a good enough starting point. So I rotated it just a little bit compared to yesterday. Now I ink inside, but I want to make sure I know what I'm going to do with this first, or where I'm going to go. So I want to fix those couple things before I get into the actual ink. These things need to be defined quite a little more. These spikes here, so I can do something like this. And this is either gonna go in this way, or it can fade in to the other tissue. I'm thinking maybe it can be something a little more just like that. Something like that, maybe, why not? This does not represent the thickness of the final line, but it's gonna give me a little bit of an indication as to where I'm going. I do want to follow what I did before, so I am going to, actually I'm going to do this here. I'm going to add these little streaks. Let's see how it looks. I need something a little different maybe. It's gotta look something like that. So, maybe this. Some sort of wingish looking tissue. Now these are just the final details I'm adding before the actual ink inside, because I want to, again, be sure what I'm gonna do exactly. There is still a bit of thinking involved here. It's going to be much more free once I get to the real inking part inside, because that's just tracing over basically. You still need to decide some things, but it's not as brain intensive as this part. You get to decide what is in front of what. The exact angle of things have. So if there's something there that I need to fix, I have to fix it now, because I can do it later too, but it gets a little more complicated. Hey, welcome. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. Savins Gaming? Yeah, I've been doing this for, I think it's about a week now. See how this looks. This is gonna be in the back. I don't want them to look exactly like that reference I had the other day. Just the ballpark. I'm also starting to indicate the lines that the final ink will have here and there, like these marks. We use another window. Are you putting these up on itch when you're finished? Yes. I'm planning. Let's name the other smaller window so I can see what I'm doing. Are you following me on itch? I've been neglecting that a little bit because I've had a lot of stuff to do. So I'm trying to catch up a little bit. I don't want this to be aeons apart. The last one like it was for the previous packs. I'm excited. I love when you're listening to stuff. I always get your packs. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like doing monster packs for RPGs. It kind of gives them purpose, so it's not. They also end up in my portfolio in any case. So there's a win-win situation for that. I don't want to handle this. I think I'm gonna add an outer wrapping membrane sort of thing. Something like this. How is it looking? Something like that. Yeah. And I think I can add these little things inside here. Little small tentacles that I wanted to add yesterday, but it didn't look good enough. So yeah, I think it's definitely enough to add them now. I'm doing this now so that the actual inking part is going to take much less. And I do want something like a squiggly thing. Maybe it's going to be all around the eye. How about that? Another one here. Squiggly line around the eye. This side too. Which is technically probably impossible. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I do not necessarily always do this cleanup, but I feel like this specific thing needs a little more definition or a little more clarity before I dive into the inking part. I'm hoping to finish that off today. So hopefully by today I'll have a finished creature with the ink done, ready for the grayscale and then coloring. And maybe something like that. Yeah, I think they look pretty decent. Get a little longer, perhaps. Still. Yeah, I want them to have this sort of curve to get some more flow into the creature. We're gonna extend these a little further. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. I wanted to have a little bit of overhang around here. So something like this, perhaps. Not here because it's gonna be underneath, but just there, so it feels a little more thick somehow. These are not going to be very visible. And up here, the overhanging part here. And I don't want it to be too smooth, so it's gonna be that. Here we can't quite see it. This thing is bothering me though. Yeah, something like that. I'm probably gonna have to flip it to figure it out. And it's always a good idea if you're drawing something to flip it to see if it's actually looking good, because if you get fixated on a point of view, you might not notice some obvious mistakes that are clearly visible from the other side. So if you're drawing traditional, you can just use a mirror. Otherwise, thankfully, Photoshop and most of the other tools have usually a handy flip horizontal or flip canvas that you can use. This is almost done, and then we can move to Psi. Since the other lines are going to be a little more thin, I will be able to afford all these details in the eyes area. Something like this. That's a tangent. I want to avoid overlapping things that are not supposed to touch. Because if I made these touch, they would seem like a communicating shape or something that's part of the same thing, which is clearly not. Now I have a little bit of a problem because this is shorter than that. So it's not tremendously bad, but I can still notice it, so I'm gonna move the eye just a little, closer. Yeah, I've got a little bug now. It's not moving unless I move it away a few more pixels. I think there is a setting for that. Let me see. It's not snap. I'm probably gonna have to look into it. No, there. This needs to go a little further down. Something like this. I'm just indicating some lines that are probably not going to be the final, but I want to know where things are going. Oh, this might overlap just a little bit to give us some extra thickness. This connects to that. The eye goes here, and it needs to be a tad pointy at the end. This, so the eye is going to be a little smaller than I made it. One of the reasons why I don't do much many buildings or mechanical stuff is because I am very not precise. Now you can see here, like this is definitely too far. So it's a good idea to always triple check things. This is a little closer now. Probably close enough. Let's see. Yeah, probably still too far. That's why I'm doing this. So a little extra work before I ink, because I want things to look like they make sense with each other. Because it's a sort of, it's not symmetrical, but it's got some similar shapes all around. I do not want it to look messy, like, oh hey, but that's too short, that's too long. Hey, wait a second, that's longer than the other. I just want to make sure it is at least somewhat in the ballpark in terms of shapes and distances. It's fine. This also needs to be brought a little, or not that much. That. This is bulging. You notice my lines are a little more squiggly than they should because my plugin stopped working today, my lazy Nezumi. Thankfully, Sai has its own stabilizer, so it's not going to be a problem for the actual ink. I really need to figure out why it doesn't work. Is this too close? No, it's fine. Let's see. Not 100% convinced. I think this should be further up. Oops, again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to shift it manually with the keyboard. Rotate it. Alright. Better there. Again, at this stage, it's not a big deal if it's not super clean. Let's see, how's this looking? Just yeah, something like this can go. This needs to be a little more rounded. And generally, I find that I put too much work in for these simple monsters. That's why I am unfortunately releasing them so slowly. Because I'm doing it as a side thing on top of my other jobs. So it does unfortunately take some time. Alright, that's definitely too short. So this is quite a distance, and here it's not. I'm gonna shorten it. Two, 3, 4, 5 here. Let me see. Yeah. I think I might need some extra stuff here. And spike. And hey Seb, what's up? Thanks for joining, man. Thank you. Glad to see you here. Okay. Now, what am I going to do with these are a little further away. First, I'm going to duplicate this because I'm not happy with where they are. Let's see if I can move them around so that they're perhaps a little closer to one side. Let's see how it looks like that. Yeah, that's much better. And this one too. Why switch to Photoshop? I did not. I use both. I use both Sai and Photoshop. I just like, for some reason, I prefer doing this part in Photoshop. I know I could technically do the exact same in Sai, but it's just a habit. I will switch to Photoshop eventually, and I do some other things that are a little less cartoony, let's say. This I don't want to be too something like that. Yeah. I'm gonna keep these very, very undefined, barely existing, because otherwise I already know it's gonna take me ages to do. Again, I want this to stay as simple as possible. Oh, by the way, Sab, what are you using? Clip Studio? Or Photoshop? Or something else? I don't think I've ever asked you. These are like micro teeth or something. It's visible there. So technically, there should be. So these should not look like this exactly. There should be. I'm thinking if I should make it technically correct or not, because I like the fact that you only see the underside, but technically this is a little more on the side, so we would see part of the umbrella looking thingy. So this should be something like that. I don't know if I want to do it because it already took me 20 minutes to do this. Let's see. Can you guys hear me decently with this setup? I know there's a bit of background noise, but I tried to adjust the noise suppressor so that it kind of cancels it out a little bit. I don't know if my audio is still good today, so just let me know. Okay, this will be a little more something like this. These thingies be at the bottom. I should probably just paste them in, but it's fine. I'm not even sure I want to add them. Just sounds great. I think. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. Well, this needs to move. Yeah, something like that. Okay, I think this is good for inking. Okay, let's see. Now, do I have Psy open here? I do. Yes. It doesn't get stuck. It did get stuck. So whatever. Hold on a second. It did freeze as expected. I don't want to continue Photoshop. I might have to close Psy actually. Let's see. No, okay. But it is frozen though. Yeah, I haven't had much luck with Windows 11 so far. I'm sort of regretting switching and not keeping Windows 10. Okay, I'll try again. Oh, this is still stuck. Or not. Okay. Hey, it works. Okay. I'm gonna... Hopefully you're not gonna see too much spoiler here. This is spoiler. Or did I save that? Projects. Oh, video monsters. This is part of an ocean pack, so... This is the other one. I'm not gonna zoom in, but... That's basically it. Okay. Spoiler for those who are going to buy the next pack. Hey Chase, they keep pestering me to upgrade and I refuse. Yeah, I don't think... Okay, so unless I made some serious mistake when I was building the computer, it is Windows 11's fault. I just find it a little more unstable. Sometimes Windows freeze, Photoshop stutters. I haven't had any problem with Psy, but I've had it got stuck once and shut down the whole thing, the whole computer. So yeah, I'm not super happy about it. So what I do here is save as Psy 2. This is Psy 2, by the way, which works with the same license as Psy 1. I just find it a little better interface wise, so that's why I'm using it. And I'm gonna definitely not gonna use all these, so these are gonna be hidden. I'm gonna reduce the opacity. I might stretch this thing a little longer, but anyway. So I have a lineart brush, which is basically the default brush with no density, pressure sensitivity. So it's just basically size. You can have the same Photoshop, obviously, but I like size. I used to have something else here. It was something called spread and noise, but apparently it didn't move over to this new computer. So I'm not going to use it. I didn't use it for the last monsters anyway, then use it for the octopus. It's something that kind of gives, let's see if I can, yeah, it still works decently. It kind of gives a little grit to the brush, then makes it look like ink on paper. So sometimes I used it for some monsters, some previous monsters. I just decided not to for now because I prefer the stability of this one. Alright, this is good, I think. I've got the octopus inking video on Twitch, but I only have that for now. I might even have removed it, I don't know. I'm gonna move to Twitch at some point, but not now. So a new floating view, again, same drill, reduce this, put this on my other screen. And I've got to close Photoshop because otherwise it's gonna suck all my RAM. I got 32 gigs on this setup, but still, just in case. Okay, reduce a little more. So I was saying I've got some rendering reference here in my other screen, which is nothing special. I'm just keeping it so that I know where I'm going. Let's see if we can do it in about 30-40 minutes. So you can paint tool Psy and concept in Photoshop, yes. Although I might switch from Photoshop to Clip Studio at some point, depending on their licensing policies, because it's really too expensive. I already own Psy and Clip Studio, so that would be like a brainer technically. If I can get either Psy, probably Clip Studio though, to do the same things Photoshop does with the same sort of feel to the brush, then yeah, I will switch. But until then, it's Photoshop. Photoshop madness. So the inking part is a little more relaxing. For me, at least. And I am considering also changing this little process I have, because this part takes really long on bigger things, considering it's not gonna be as visible on the final product. So I might just integrate what I'm doing in Photoshop in favor of another simpler yet effective workflow. Now the first pass is going to be a little rougher. It's not gonna look as pretty, and then I'm gonna do a second pass where I basically go over the lines again and add some variety, thickness where it needs to be, You might be thinking, hey, why didn't you do it in the first place? I don't know. I find that in any case, I have to go over it again because there is going to be spillover and stuff. So use a little thicker line here. I also like straight lines, so sometimes I just do them too straight, and so you have to dial back a little bit. That. Unfortunately, for some reason, when I switched computers, I lost some stability in the brushes, which is something I'm trying to get back through settings, but it feels a little less controlled now. I didn't use a stabilizer at 15 on my previous computer. It was 7, I think. And it was still pretty easy to control. But here it's just a little too much. I find myself erasing a little more often than I used to. Not being happy with the lines I get. And it is lagging right now, actually. Although this could be the stream. I've got a 3060. It shouldn't be a problem to handle streaming and drawing, but apparently it is. I keep blaming this too. Let's speed up just a little bit. Also, to be fair, it usually takes some time to warm up your hand when you haven't been inking for a while, or at least it does for me. Let me check. This tangent here. I do want this to feel sort of gritty. While I do this, I'm trying to think about how I am going to render this thing. And this is definitely wrong. So I'm thinking maybe I can have these to be a little shiny. Maybe a little shine here. I'm not sure yet. Definitely too far from the other. I might have left this too long, so I am going to move it ever so slightly. As I said, I do try to clean it up as much as I can, but inevitably I end up forgetting things or not noticing some things. So I have to adjust. It's definitely thick, but I will fix it later. I want this area here to feel more like a crevice compared to the outer one. I'm not gonna ink this part. some of the details you saw in the octopus, they were definitely added later, not during the inking phase. Although sometimes what I do is ink in a detail and then erase it and replace it with something else if it's too there's too much of a difference between the line art and what's underneath or around it. Trying with keeping the lines fairly consistent. Hopefully without too much spillover. Okay, this is looking good so far. As I said the other day, in Grand Blue Fantasy, they have separate people to do this compared to the, I mean, in addition to the drawing part. So there's one person that does the inking, one person that does drawing, one person that does the coloring. That's why they could probably crank out all those new characters pretty fast. Let's see, do I want to... Yeah, I want to stretch it just a little bit. Let's go a little higher. Just a little higher. Something like that. This probably connects somewhere here. We can finish this today. So I get cut up with some kind of dumb detail as always. So as I mentioned yesterday, I'm working on a Discord server, and there's gonna be some really good stuff there. I'm gonna have a channel for anatomy, probably one for each major animal group, one for maybe a monthly challenge for the community. Obviously, it's all creature design related. Creature design nuts, not like me. Hopefully you're gonna have fun. I'm not sure if I'll roll it out next week, probably the following one, depending on my schedule. But it is in the works, so be ready. I'm not really liking how this is looking here. I was not convinced with it before either, but yeah, I don't want to spend too long on it. It's definitely not looking the way I had envisioned it. This direction. Still agreed here. This could almost be like an ASMR thing where just slowly ink something. Could be even more ASMR if I were doing it traditionally. That takes a really long time. You can't really release. I mean, you can, but you should probably not. I've done some traditional inking. And it's really fun, but it's also very taxing for your hand. Do something like that. All these little marks will probably go later, but not necessarily. We'll see. I just want them to be there as a kind of an added texture. I do want to make sure I ink to keep areas separated. As I said before, it is even more important now, so I do not want to intermix different layers, different levels. Just don't speak filtering to the mic if you're doing it somewhere. No. That would be creepy and disgusting, I guess. I don't like those videos. I don't watch them personally, but I know they do a lot of weird stuff on camera. A friend of mine told me there was a video where some people were doing a quote-unquote face massage, but it was more like splattering shaving foam on someone else's face and then slapping him, which doesn't sound, for some reason it doesn't sound as interesting for me to watch. Though if I did an ASMR video, I should probably speak sultry, otherwise what's the point? It defeats all the purpose. This is going to be some faded area with some of these similar tones and temperature. We'll see. Speed up just a little. Did I close them? I did close them, so I have to do that here too. So, like that. This needs to be. No, it doesn't need to be longer because I already made it shorter. Because that far end is probably a little smaller than it should. Yes, there is some weird ASMR stuff I have to look at for work. I'm sorry. I've taken the habit of not using YouTube while I'm doing other stuff, because otherwise I get too distracted and I end up doing nothing. I've got a browser extension. I forgot the name. I should look it up, because until a couple years ago I kept getting distracted. I was looking for something that was useful for my job or necessary, just useful. And then some kind of stupid video would pop up and I would say, oh, well, you know what? That's interesting. And I would waste 10 minutes, 20. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that, okay. It's to be something like that. Yeah, come on, we can make it. YouTube for Handful is real. It really is. It's really real. But the extension works wonders. It hides my homepage suggestions, so I never see them, and I can only. So if I go on YouTube, I will only go to the video I want to go to. I even have the sidebar hidden, so that's pretty useful. I had to disable it obviously for stream, but because it hides the chat as well. But it's otherwise extremely useful if you're working, you need YouTube, and you don't want to get caught up in the whole. Not. Yeah, it's almost a tangent, but not quite. So let's leave it as it is. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. It's probably just a little smaller than it should be. Make some of these lines thicker because it's a smaller creature, so it needs to feel smaller compared to the others. Right now, it kind of has the same line thickness as the octopus, so that's not what I want. That, hey, we're almost done. Yeah. Wobbly thing. Ah, man, I don't know if I want to add those little teeth. I probably should. I just don't want to. Let's see if I. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna zoom out in a second and see if they even make sense at this size. Let's see. Nope. Zooming too much. Okay, it's gonna take a while. All right. So let's see. Oh man, I think it already has a lot. This is probably the size it's going to be seen at. And I think it already has enough detail. I'm going to add them just a little bit, but this is detailed enough for this size. I'll make the lines thicker and then call it done. I don't know. What do you think, Chase? You're the one who's gonna see or was used to seeing my creatures at that size. You think it's too much detail for this small creature? Like that. this small size as a guideline for as how much detail I'm going to add. I'm definitely going to make the other sticker. Yes, I am worried about it downscaling, or about downscaling it, because these small, especially these umbrella things, they're not going to scale well. The problem is that I do like adding detail, but I work at such a resolution that when I then get to the in-game resolution, it's a little overdone. I am in any case going to have them grouped, obviously, but even with that, I don't know. Weird, because the other monsters then are bigger and maybe they have a little less detail than this. In comparison, obviously, they have more detail, but in comparison to this, obviously you do not want all of the monsters to feel like they are important. We got 5 concurrent people today. Hey, thanks guys. I just have to be a little more careful not to embarrass myself. That's gonna be hard. I'm gonna do something extremely stupid and you're all gonna see. Oh no. It's gonna end up here. Small hentai tentacle here. Here. This wants another bump. I don't know how I'm going to arrange the stream of bigger monsters, because those are going to be extremely boring to watch. There's going to be so much detail that I don't know if you guys want to sit and watch me do the same thing for a few days in a row. Give us some viewers. That's true. Okay, maybe that's why they came. I think YouTube picked up the fact that I said tentacle a while ago when I was cleaning this up, and so now I get those viewers. There's squiggly brush. I really have to fix my Lazy Nezumi. It's way better with that. I think it adds another, even if Sai has its own system for stabilization, it kind of adds another layer to, like, on top of it or before it, and so it is better. It was better with the octopus once I figured it out. I just have to make it work again. Alright, let me see what I can fix now. This is gonna be, let's see, there's another tentacle here. Hey, let's increase the viewers a little more. Something like that. Now I can go in like that. No, I can't. It's too far. Another little ball. Like that. Now, okay, I've added all the elements, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, this sucks a bit. It's a little too large compared to the others. But okay, yeah, I could stay. Alright, now I'm gonna try to fix the line weight a little bit, and then I'll call it done. It's just ready for beginning. I think I want this to actually go over the tentacle. Yeah, this is a little better. Yeah, that's... Okay, so one thing I noticed when drawing Grand Blue fantasy style stuff is like, or in general anime stuff, they tend to bridge squiggles. So if you have a squiggly area, it's usually kind of bridged with a thicker line like this or this, so that surfaces kind of feel a little more even to a degree. This might be wrong. Do not take this, I mean, take this with a grain of salt, but it's something I noticed. So like here, I can do this. Maybe not that much. But I feel like it is a little more anime-ish with that extra thickness added to it. It's not just the line weight, it's where it's put. It's how they do it. It kind of still escapes me a little bit, but I feel like some areas are definitely, like they definitely follow that rule. So where it's squiggly, just bridge it a little bit, something like that. It's not true for every single thing, but it definitely is for the ones I've seen. Needs to be a little thin, maybe. So at this point, I'm just cleaning up. This is really fun because you get to make it look better without much effort. I tend to prioritize straight lines when I do this, so I just do this. Again, there's gonna be room for improvement later on, but yeah, good frame. Do not have too much detail here. Not too much. At any rate, part of this, or most of this, line art will be erased or painted over, so it doesn't make sense to be too anal about it. Like that. Although I am probably a little exaggerated about it. Just need to feel too... too stiff. I feel like this part that's further away is not as good looking as the others. And this one too. No, this one's a little better. This one is kind of flat. Kind of flat. This row should probably be closer. Oops. And we are indeed almost done now. So this is farther away, this is closer. In general, things in inking, as a rule of thumb, things are closer should be also thicker. I do not always abide to this principle because I'm bad, but also because I think sometimes it just makes other things look better just by breaking that rule. And depends on what it is. I am looking at it pretty small. You see that this should be going away from us. So yeah, I need something like that. This needs something like this. Maybe something like that. It's a fine line to thread because, no pun intended, line, because it's very easy to overdo line weight. Always undecided. I don't know if I want the pointy ends to be dark, like to have something like that, or not, because this is not looking good now. This is definitely not looking the way I want. Probably gonna do something like this. Looking a little too same to each other. It's similar. Okay, this is in front, this is in front, this is in front. This also is in front. Kind of fades away as it attaches to it. This is not a major line, so it needs to be smaller or thinner. This is too thick. This is bad. No, this is really bad. So as you can see, this is a pretty small creature, but it is taking some time. It's already about an hour in. So I don't consider myself fast by any stretch of the imagination. I think using this sort of process makes me even slower. And it kind of pushes the rendering phase farther away. We want some thicker lines for the sake of perceived size of the creature next to the others. If I were working on an actual game and I had a budget and stuff like that, I would probably put them side by side and adjust the line weight accordingly, but not in this case, because otherwise it would become really too time consuming. So I'm judging with my eye and memory, because I still have some pictures on my other screen I can judge with. It's not scientifically precise, but it's good enough, I think. Okay. All right. I think it's almost done. I don't see it looking too bad. Oh, it's missing an eye here. That's not good. This could even be separated. Oh, why not? Something like that. Zero. Then I tend to create some sort of outline at some point because it makes the thing look a little more cohesive. But I want the thickness to reflect in the inside of the monster too, because otherwise it will look weird, like a big outline stamp, and it will lose all the three-dimensional aspect. Adding something here. Keep reminding myself not to add too much detail to this thing. This is borderline a tangent. Zoom out on this monitor too and see how it is looking. Alright, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's not too much detail. It is somehow, but not too much. So what I'm going to do now is prepare it. Since we have maybe a couple minutes, I'll prepare this for the next phase. So I'm going to add a mask. I take my brush, my actual brush. This has opacity sensitivity, and I'm going to slowly erase away some inner parts that I want to downplay while painting. I definitely want parts that are sticking out to still look like they're sticking out, so I'm going to keep the opacity. But here, no, definitely. Something like this or this. And since I'm using a mask, this is all non-destructive, which is really useful. Especially do not want these to feel too thick. These squiggly things are going to have another color later around the eyes. Deep, so let's leave them 2 degree, not too much, 100%. I think that needs to be fixed. I'm gonna do it later in the coloring phase or grayscale phase. Okay. I'm also squinting at it, though it doesn't make too much sense. It's a line art. Alright, what they do in Granblue Fantasies also, or at least they did in their 2015 Direct, is just go over the borders of some of these and fade them ever so slightly so that, I guess, they blend in more with the doesn't have to be extreme. I'm not a super big fan of this, but it helps. Something over here. All right, you know what? Yeah, leave it here. Okay. All right, everybody. This is ready for the next stage, which is going to be grayscale. So from here on, that is tomorrow and the following days, I will turn this into a grayscale drawing, and then I'll color it and finish it. So it's probably going to be, I want to stress, probably going to be grayscale tomorrow and coloring the next day. All right. So again, thanks everyone for watching. If you like the video, well, like it. Subscribe if you want to be notified about the next streams and videos. And yeah, stay tuned for the upcoming news about the Discord server. Okay? All right. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.